Hi everyone, my name is Manan Al-Faiz and you're watching From Scratch. On today's episode of From Scratch, we're making chicken stock. For that, what we're gonna need are some red onions, garlic, celery, carrots, some chicken bones, and a bunch of herbs and spices, including thyme, dried bay leaf, and some black peppercorns. Right after the break, we're gonna get cooking. To start off, I'm gonna grab our red onions and identify the root from the stem. So the root always stays intact. That's not only gonna help with chopping, but also help with preventing you from crying. So the juices that are intact over here are actually the juices that will make you cry. So if you keep it intact, it will prevent you from doing that. So we're just peeling off the dry layer, getting it prepped. And what we need to make sure of is we get all of those vegetables the same size, because you want them to cook at the same time. So with chopping them the same size, you get to ensure that. So I've got my onions ready to start chopping. So what I'm gonna do is give them a rough chop. You wanna ensure that they're all an even size. As said before, we're just cutting them in quarters. And we're going to transfer them to our bowl right in front of us. And give a rough chop of our rest of ingredients to get them down into the same size. So the three ingredients that we're gonna chop, the three vegetables that we're gonna chop for today, will make up something called a mirepoix. And a mirepoix is a standard mix of vegetables that will make the base of soup, a stock, many different things. So we're doing the same for the carrots. We're just starting off by topping and tailing them, cutting them down so they're easy to chop. And you're working systematically. A quick chop. So you need to observe your carrot as well. There is a thinner side and a thicker side. For the thinner side, you want to chop that a bit bigger than the thicker side, just because that will tend to cook faster than your thicker side. So I've got all the vegetables prepped over here in my bowl. I'm just going to grab 2 pieces or 2 cloves of garlic and give them a quick smash. You don't want to chop this down because garlic will tend to burn. What I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to transfer the vegetables onto my baking tray right here. Spread them out evenly. Making sure you got that all around. You don't want to bunch some pieces of vegetables together. You want them to be evenly exposed to heat. What I'm gonna do is grab our chicken bones next, but put on some gloves before doing so. So we're gonna grab our chicken, put it all around your tray, evenly spread out. And what you're gonna do next is grease everything together, just to make sure that you get a nice, beautiful char in the oven. I have my oven preheated at the highest setting. My oven is preheated at 250 degrees. We're gonna put it in the oven for around 10 to 15 minutes, again, to get that nice coloration. Once that's done, we're gonna pop it into our pot and begin our chicken stock. All right, so our chicken has been in the oven for around 15 minutes. I'm just going to take it out and transfer it to our pot. Our chicken and our vegetables are looking quite charred, and this is exactly what you're looking for. The more you can get this coloration right here, the better. That will add even more depth of flavor. So we're actually going to use our chicken stock for to make a chicken noodle soup towards the end. So we're making the base of the chicken stock in order to assemble everything together and make a really delicious and hearty chicken noodle soup. So what I'm doing is I'm just transferring all of the ingredients into my pot, which we're gonna actually add the aromatics and add some water, bring it up to one boil and let it simmer for a minimum of 2 to 3 hours. Just gonna add in all of those juices right inside. Set this aside. What we're gonna do is add all of the aromatics and the spices right inside. We're gonna add some water, all the way to cover all of the ingredients and about an inch more. You don't want all of the ingredients to drown in the liquid, just because then you'll end up with no flavor. So you just wanna make sure you got just enough liquid in there. Just until it covers everything in the pot. So I'm turning on my stove up to full heat. We're gonna bring it up to one boil and bring it down to a simmer for around 2 to 3 hours. We're also skimming from time to time to remove any of those impurities. So we have our chicken stock that has been boiling for around 2 to 3 hours. We're just gonna pass it through a strainer to collect all of the solids. What you want to do is make sure that you're straining away from you and not towards you. Just ensure that you don't burn yourself with that hot liquid. So we're just passing it through the strainer into another pot, because we are actually getting ready to prepare our chicken noodle soup. So this goes back onto the heat aside while we start preparing for the rest of the ingredients, which is for our chicken noodle soup. So I'll just set up for that and I'll see you guys after the break. All right, so we're ready to start with our chicken noodle soup. As you can see on my station, what I have is some celery, carrots and onions to make our mirepoix. We've got some elbow macaroni, some diced cooked chicken, some garlic, some already made brown butter infused with rosemary, and some thyme, together with some salt and pepper. To start off, we're gonna focus mainly on some knife skills. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our super sharp knife, take our onion, and start with chopping. So with chopping your vegetables, you just wanna make sure that you've got all of the vegetables cut in an even size. So we're looking at a small to a medium dice for this. So what we're gonna go ahead with doing is slicing through lengthways, just like so. With a super sharp knife, I'm able to easily glide through. So that's the importance of a very sharp knife. With a sharp knife, you'll also reduce the amount of times that you cut your finger with a bland knife. So always keep this as a note, keep your knives super sharp. So we're just going through with a couple of slices down the middle, and I'm gonna do the same for the other half. So we're going in with chopping it to reveal those little dices that we've created. Same goes to the other piece of the onion. And we're going to go ahead and place those in a bowl right over here. And we'll continue doing the same thing for the rest of our mirepoix. We're moving on to our celery. We're just gonna cut that down into manageable sizes first. Just gonna grab 2 stalks of celery. That's enough. And we're gonna go ahead and kind of do the same action, but being extra careful this time, just because it's easier to glide your knife through a celery flat, and then start by cutting them into matchsticks. Turning them the other way around and dicing them up. And go in with your carrots with the same technique. Gonna start by, what we're gonna do next is chop them up this way to get you that square shape again. It's a rough square shape. And then back into the bowl with the rest of your mirepoix. The very last step with knife skills that you're actually going to do is chop up your garlic, and that's super easy. All you have to do is just give it a nice tap on your cutting board, making sure you don't touch the blade, and then go through with a nice rough chop. You just want to start by breaking those down, the cloves of garlic down, and that's it on the garlic. What we're going to do is actually separate it from the bowl of the rest of the mirepoix, just because garlic will tend to burn if you put it in way too early. So we're going to prevent that by just adding it in on a later stage. What I'm going to go ahead with doing is I'm going to start off by heating up my pan. So we're going to start right ahead with heating up your pot. We're going to add in just a little bit of oil. And we're doing a combination of oil together with our brown butter. And that's just to prevent the brown butter from browning even further. So we're just going to go right ahead with adding that, and I'm going to add a good amount of brown butter just because I really do love that flavor. And for me, this dish is a very nice and hearty dish, so anything that really reminds you of something that's very homey is exactly what you want to put right into this pot. So my oil has started to heat up. What I'm going to do is lower down all of these vegetables into my pot. Gonna go ahead and give it a quick stir. So what you want to do is get a nice color onto your vegetables. I mean, this is solely up to your liking, but I like to add in a bit of color just because I know that that's going to give it a lot of flavor at the end. So what I'm gonna do is I'll add in a pinch of salt, and I'm building my salt content as I go. I'm not gonna over salt at the beginning because it's very hard to remove that salty flavor towards the end. So once I start to notice that my vegetables have started to wilt down, what I'm gonna do right now is actually add in my garlic. And start mixing that around just until it starts being fragrant. So you don't want to overcook your vegetables at this step, just because you still want to let that soup simmer. So we're just giving them a nice sear and saute at the beginning. What I'm gonna go ahead with doing is add in my thyme, and this is fresh thyme. And then wait no further, I'm gonna add in my chicken stock. So this is where I'm going to lower down my elbow macaroni. So all I'm doing is waiting for that elbow macaroni to cook, and then we'll add in the chicken, taste it for a bit of seasoning, and we're ready to serve. So my macaroni has already cooked. What's left to do is lower down that chicken, get it nice and heated up again. And what I'm gonna do is add a pinch of salt, some black pepper, and a squeeze of lemon. So this is really gonna bring out a lot of flavor. I really do like adding in some lemon, so I highly recommend that you do that as well. So what we're gonna do is just give it a nice mix through and plate it up. So depending on your liking, if you like to have more of macaroni and all of those veggies in your bowl, you could go ahead and do that. Or you could add some more of that liquid to make it more soupy. So I'm just going to garnish with some fresh parsley, and then that's your macaroni and chicken noodle soup. And there you have it, chicken stock made from scratch. And we used our chicken stock to make a chicken noodle soup. There are many different uses that you could use a chicken stock. One of them is a soup. The other is even a chicken pot pie, for example. So I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time on From Scratch.